Good morning everyone. In this video I'm going to analyze the live price action for EU and DXY to see what opportunities we may have today. You're going to see my analysis and my strategy, so if you're interested in those then please stick around. So as always, starting off on the daily chart, EU is on the top, DXY is on the bottom, and what can we see on the daily chart? Well, if we look at yesterday, Monday's price action, you can see we closed out as a doji. So the story this gives me, after we had this initial bullish run here that closed off with that high test, we closed as a doji yesterday, showing more deceleration at these levels, right? So there was no real bullish momentum to close out the day with a new high or as a bullish engulfing. The day closed out showing deceleration to me by this candle. We have obviously filled a lot of this imbalance here, and price is in a premium, so may need to pull back for some sort of discount, POY or sell side liquidity. Now that left behind this imbalance here, so price may want to fill that before possibly going up any higher into this premium here. So that's a possibility there with this imbalance left behind as a draw on price. We can see there was also an imbalance left behind here, though today we have mostly filled that already. If I can zoom in just a little bit, you can see we've mostly filled that already today. However, there is another imbalance above that price may wish to head for. So that's also that possibility. If we go up on DXY, obviously we'll go down on EU. We have also, in terms of previous daily lows and highs, we've swept our previous daily low already. So you can see we're having some sort of rejection from that sell side liquidity at the moment. We've also taken our previous daily high on DXY. So let's go down to the 4 hour and see what that shows. Here on the 4 hour, as I said yesterday, I believe this whole leg here to be our 4 hour bullish leg. We're in a similar position as we was yesterday as well, because we was around these areas, and we have our initial 4 hour imbalance below, which may draw price for some sell side liquidity to fill this imbalance. Now at the moment you can see we're having the rejection of the previous daily low sell side liquidity here, so we'll see how price reacts on that. It may be clear on the lower time frame. However, just something I'm noticing, as we did make this small bullish run here and essentially make an internal lower high, again this may look more obvious on a lower time frame, the signal I'm getting is that price is probably going to reach down, probably more into a discount. Maybe we'll come down to this order block POI here with its small imbalance. I don't want to forecast too far into the future, but once we internally, this will be a weak low. Obviously we've just swept that now, but as we made that high that didn't make a higher high, it may be a weak low and show some intention for a pullback. Okay, so we still have this imbalance here, which I still want to see what price does with it. I don't want to be shorting while we're within that because it may be rejected. And of course we still have the 4 hour imbalance here on DXY as well, which we have to be careful for as resistance. So we'll see when we reach into this area and this imbalance what happens around this area as well. So the 4 hour hasn't changed much since yesterday. As you can see, we've just hovered around this area. We still have our possible daily draw up here, and we have our POIs that may draw price as well down toward a discount. And of course that's the same on DXY with its daily draws, imbalances and order blocks here. But we may need to come up and take this buy side liquidity POI first before we do that. In any case, let's go down to 1 hour and see what that shows. So as mentioned on the 4 hour, we are ranging within this premium here of the 1 hour leg I identified. So from this low to this high is the 1 hour leg for me. And inversely on DXY, from this high where we swept the buy side liquidity and broke down to this low, this is the bearish leg for me. So we are in some sort of pullback at the moment. We have taken internal buy side liquidity above these highs on DXY, and we have taken the internal sell side liquidity below this low, which is the previous daily low. Now we still have the 4 hour POI below, of course, which may attract price further. All of this has been quite corrective, so we can read from that that possibly it just needed this sell side liquidity or this POI in order to continue that bullish move it's having, because this is like a buy side liquidity trend line. Price isn't moving with much momentum towards that downside, so we have to keep our options open for buys and sells depending on what the lower time frame does. Pretty much similar to yesterday. Now we are in a premium, and like I said, it does look like we've had this failed higher high so we may want to continue down. So obviously it could be a good place for sales, but the price action isn't really giving me bearish momentum or the bearish breakdown with the lower lows just yet. So maybe if we break down, create a new lower low internally here, that would look more convincing. But as I said, we also have this support in the way and this resistance in the way here. So it may just be a time for patience as well. So yeah, the 1 hour leg for me is very clear. We've got this rangy price action, we've got buy side liquidity build up, we've got sell side liquidity swept. So we may be able to target longs here after just following that sell side liquidity. Of course, for me, it would look better if we had entered this 4 hour area here and rejected it, because it is still a draw on price, but we have swept sell side liquidity nonetheless, and likely the Asia cycle as well from Asia lows. I think we just have to see how price moves, wait for that breaker structure and follow liquidity on a lower time frame if it presents itself. So in saying that, let's go down to the M15 and see what that looks like. So here on the M15, so I don't confuse you, don't worry about these drawings here. I didn't trade yesterday. This one I just monitor for, it's a late execution. So I still draw those in and take the statistics from them to see if trades outside of my hours would be profitable. Usually they aren't. So I just like to keep track of that, see if that trend changes. This is the trade I wanted yesterday. We left the inducement here and then price just moved without me. It didn't give the pullback. Now to explain that, I wanted price to come down and take Asia lows and to possibly go into this 4 hour POI. Price didn't, but it did sweep those internal lows and have a strong break. So you saw this breaker structure here and we pulled back very correctively. I didn't want to take this until I saw that we was quite corrective and left inducement. When we started going up here, we left these lows. So that was when I was willing to take the trade, because price didn't indicate any momentum from taking the buy side liquidity above here that it wanted to go and continue bearish. This price action here is just very corrective and very slow. So it gave me confidence that this M15 order block here would hold, and we had SMC divergence at the lows and the internal sell side liquidity swept. So just to explain that opportunity, which I posted on the community post as well. So as I mentioned on the 1 hour, you can see this is pretty much like a trend line. We've got buy side liquidity above here, all of these highs up until the previous daily high. We have now swept sell side liquidity. Let me just mark that in so it's even more obvious. Yes, it would be great if we mitigated this 4 hour POI, as I mentioned. Order flow is yet to change, however. You can see the M15 is still making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. We have this 15-minute order block which may hold price despite us sweeping the Asia and previous daily low sell side liquidity. However, what I would want to look for if we do have the buy opportunity here would be for possibly some more momentum as well. We'd like price to clearly break above these highs here. This would be a good break of structure. Now obviously we still have some kind of resistance here from this order block here that made this lower low, but at the moment I'm just concentrating on this structure because this is our recent structure. So break above these highs and then we'd pull back down to our possible lower time frame POI here, which isn't clear at the moment, but we have this possible order block here and these imbalances. So if it breaks above it, it doesn't look as traditional. It might look better on the M15, but that's what I think would be the only way once the order flow starts to switch with a break of structure that I would be looking for longs here. So we'd come down to this area and then we can trade upwards back towards this high here, taking this buy side liquidity towards the previous daily high. We would be having our inducement around this area, possibly our order block with imbalance around that area, maybe on the M5. Stop loss just below low. I would probably put it below this low to be safe, round it up to 8 pips, and then target 3% or the high itself. So this is what I'd be looking for. You can see we are getting some momentum around this area. I think this would look good. I think what could look better for a long, just because this structure here is fairly big, we may want this to happen lower down. This is still valid though. If price does this, I think it could look better. If we came down, swept again, and then broke above this high here as an internal breaker structure, I think that could look good. And then hopefully it'd leave behind a more obvious order block and imbalance around this area to trade upwards. So this could definitely happen. Frankfurt has swept Asia. Sometimes London comes and sweeps Frankfurt again. You do get that second sweep a lot of the time. We would have our break of structure around this area here, which would be nice. Break of structure to show the intent to go higher. We would have our sell side liquidity sweep again below there. Possible inducement here, and order block with imbalance around this area to set our order from, with the stop loss just below the low. You'd have your smaller stop loss obviously with this opportunity, and you can just trade to Asia highs if it still exists, or recent highs, whichever one suits your requirements. So I think those are the better buy opportunities. I think this is the even better buy opportunity. If the first one plays out, you may want to wait for a continuation of that. Our negative would be this right below price, may draw price, and we're in that premium. I'm not going to concentrate on any sell opportunities at the moment. I would like price, if we're going to continue with the sells, to just break down again from here, reject this area, break down, void this 4 hour area, go straight through it, and then I'd be looking for sells there after we're out of the way of this support and this resistance. Now of course, if we get this, DXY should be doing something like this, take its buy side liquidity once again, break down, right, and then pull back to go down. Then it will take out its trend line. So those are the opportunities I see. Hope you gained value from that. Hope it was clear. Any questions, let me know in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.